That is the theme song for the podcast, My Favorite Murder, hosted by Karen Kilgariff and Georgia Hardstark. The podcast takes a spin on true crimes, adding some humor to them, but still emphasizing that the actual crimes are not funny, but trying to bring lightheartedness to the harsh realities of the world we live in. So people with a shared passion for true crime can listen to this podcast and occupy this affinity space. New listeners or new true crime fans share the same space as masters with more knowledge of true crime cases. There are multiple portals that are multimodal often to gain access to this space. One is primarily listening to the podcast on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. Also, following My Favorite Murder on their Twitter or Instagram. There's also a My Favorite Murder fan cult webpage that fans can join. There's numerous My Favorite Murder Facebook pages or other online forums. You can attend live shows before COVID. Both intensive and extensive knowledge is valued. Fans can have broad knowledge of who really famous serial killers like Ted Bundy, the Night Stalker, or the Golden State Killer are. Or they could know more minute details about specific cases like the murder of Valentina Rouge and other former cold cases. The individual knowledge of the hosts, Georgia and Karen, are valued, but listeners are also posited as very important for distributing knowledge. Listeners can write in talking about their experiences. They have a segment of their show that's its own mini-sode called Hometown Murders. So in the hometown episodes, people can write in talking about a murder in their hometown or a crime they've experienced or been around or heard of that their family's gone through or any sort of thing. And they started opening it up to even more venues, like even more circumstances, like I found this in my wall, or I had no idea that this person did this, and other crazy stories like that can be shared on Hometown Murder episodes. So people can come to the space and learn more and share their knowledge or experiences. Dispersed knowledge is rampant through the social media. You can email them your hometown or other information that you know about a case. Tacit knowledge is also really important. Listeners often share their personal experiences that you can't just teach other people, and provide pictures or videos of an experience. Participation is self-directed often and multifaceted and dynamic. You can listen to the podcast. You can email the My Favorite Murder Gmail. You can donate to their causes. You can be active on their social media. You can read their book. They have a published book called Stay Sexy and Don't Get Murdered, which is their slogan. You can go to live shows. You can join the fan cult, join fan groups. And there are also many routes to status. Having Georgia and Karen read your hometown murder is probably one of the biggest ones, but also going to live shows and being able to give your hometown murder on stage, or also being recognized on My Favorite Murder's social media for getting a tattoo related to the show or fan art, creating merch for the show. There's a lot of different ways to get status, but those with the most status are definitely Karen and Georgia as the host, and then their sound tech Steven is very infamous in the community as well. There's a public audience, which is the listeners, attenders of live shows, followers, and social media. There's lots of socializing through social media and fan pages. And the social media and fan cult page place a high value on cataloging the cases discussed and any relevant pictures from live episodes or from the cases discussed, and they post on their Instagram for every single episode. So now that we've talked about my favorite murder as an affinity space, I want to focus on using affinity space principles to better inform teaching practices. So you can incorporate students' passions, like myself having a passion for my favorite murder. You can incorporate student passions into the classroom instead of focusing so heavily on meeting standards and preparing for EOCTs. You could also give students opportunities to teach you, the teacher, and posit them as a master and you as the newbie. Teaching should be transactional and beneficial for both the student and the teacher. We should open more portals for students using digital tools in non-classroom settings. We could allow them to learn things in their community, going on field trips, using social media as a portal. I use my teacher Instagram and TikTok to connect with students and to allow students to connect outside the walls of my classroom. We can give students the opportunity to interact in ways that change the track of the course, giving them some choice in what they're learning instead of mandating what they have to learn and what kind of projects they have to do. Projects can focus on intensive knowledge instead of just extensive knowledge that they normally have to deal with. We can encourage students to distribute knowledge among their class and also through other outlets that create a public audience, like the internet, posting things online and sharing them, publishing things. We can create areas for students to share more tacit knowledge instead of just giving them opportunities to share knowledge that can be read or written. We can provide more forms of participation. Students could be given the role of teacher, leader, or content creator instead of just student. There are ways we can create more status in the classroom. We can have students of the week, which I already do, where students who are community leaders, who are doing well in the class, winners of sports and clubs, are given some sort of recognition that they're doing a good job. And we can document student work in our room or on a blog or somewhere posted around the school to catalog that information and make students more invested in performing well and getting that recognition from other people in the school. And don't forget to stay sexy and don't get murdered.